Hi, I'm Michelle Sakurka. The New Jersey Business and Industry Association is committed to educating the public about the important issues impacting New Jersey's businesses and economy. That's why we're proud to support the important programming produced by the Caucus Educational Corporation.
This special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by Rowan University, educating New Jersey leaders, partnering with New Jersey businesses, transforming New Jersey's future. Josh S. Weston, Virtua, Partners for Health Foundation, partnering to make our communities healthier, better places to live. Prudential Financial's Global Communications Department, TD Bank, and by Verizon. Promotional support provided by the New Jersey Business and Industry Association and by Observer New Jersey Politics.
This is One-on-One. I'm an equal American just like you are.
The jobs of tomorrow are not the jobs of yesterday.
Look at this. You got this?
Here it is, man. Look at that.
Life without dance is boring.
When you first heard that they were doing Charlie Rose and Gayle King, didn't you go, what?
Do you enjoy talking politics?
No.
People call me because they feel nobody's paying attention.
Our culture, I don't think, has ever been tested the way it's being tested right now.
Such a good question. High five.
Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. Welcome to the Tisch WNET studio here in the heart of Lincoln Center. It is our pleasure to welcome Dan Abrams, founder of Abrams Media and also Chief Legal Affairs Anchor at ABC News. Good to see you, Dan.
Good to be with you, Steve.
You are doing all kinds of interesting things. Let everybody know that even though the ABC studio is across the street, what kind of work you do there?
So I'm the big legal guy there. I do the legal stories for ABC News, do Good Morning America most mornings, talking about whatever the legal story is of the day. It could be anything from a sort of tabloid headline type of a criminal story to the most serious cases involving the Supreme Court, et cetera. So it's a wide range of stories that I'm doing, and then doing the rest of the ABC shows, 2020, Nightline, World News, et cetera. So it's interesting and fun.
But that's not enough for you.
Nope.
No, it's not.
No.
And I've known you for a long time, and your entrepreneurial spirit, let's say, beyond your broadcast skills, clearly gets the best of you. Let's talk about some of the other activities. The initiative that you've been involved in for over a year, talk about it. It's 24/7 court.
Right. So it's called Law News with a Z is the name of the website. And in the last couple of months, we have expanded it from a website to effectively a 24/7 live video network, meaning we're covering trials. And we have in-studio analysts, and we have anchors, and we've got a studio. And we're live most of the time between 40 and 60 hours a week. And then we'll replay some of the coverage from earlier in the day. But I've just been kind of amazed that no one else was doing this. I mean, there is a real appetite out there.
Market.
Yeah.
Real market.
For people who love to watch trials. And look, there's both the sort of, I don't want to call it the entertainment aspect of it, but it is entertaining at times to watch trials. But there's also the fact that I think it's important. I mean, even the more mundane criminal trials out there, right? It's still the people of the state of New Jersey or New York or California versus the defendant. We have the right to see what prosecutors are doing in the name of the taxpayers of the state of blank.
Even a responsibility.
Yeah, and so, look, courtrooms were built with galleries back in the old days. People used to come. That was what they would do. Many of them would do during the day. They would go and watch trials. And I guess I've been amazed that since Court TV, where I worked when it started, doesn't exist anymore, that there hasn't been a new Court TV, which is where I moved in, and it's been, the growth has been explosive.
And you saw it there. By the way, real quick, for those who don't know your background growing up as a kid, the legal world was around you.
Yeah.
Let's just say that.
Yes.
Your dad?
Dad's Floyd Abrams, who's the Floyd Abrams. I don't think it's probably another guy named Floyd Abrams.
No. Also nobody who's done what he's done.
I know,
go ahead.
No, he's a well-known First Amendment lawyer. His new book, Soul of the First Amendment, is coming out.
I stepped on that. What's the name of the book again?
The Soul of the First Amendment.
Plugging like that is okay on
Right,
PBS.
right.
Go ahead.
It's not for my book, so you know.
That's right.
Exactly,
That's good.
right.
Okay.
So I'm not plugging my own book. Hey, you better not plug your own book. Don't worry. Dad's book is called The Soul.
That's quite all right.
Yeah.
And he was preeminent.
He's argued more First Amendment cases in front of the Supreme Court than anyone. And what I most respect about what my dad has done as an attorney is that he takes a principled First Amendment view that can benefit either political side. And that's angered. Look, my dad's has long been viewed as a liberal constitutional lawyer. And yet now he represents Mitch McConnell for free in this for free in the Citizens United case. And all of these, all of his liberal friends start accusing him of heresy. And his position is you guys are looking at the policy result, not the constitutional principle behind it. And for him, it's the constitutional principle.
First and always.
And I think that that's something we don't see enough of these days, is people who are willing to take a principled position no matter which side it helps or hurts.
Yeah, well said. By the way, can we talk cable for a second?
Yeah, I love talking cable.
You know media, you understand it, you worked in it. You actually, full disclosure, hired me way back in the day, in 2007. You ran MSNBC 2007, 2008. And you understand media, but back then, 10 years ago, cable was what it was. 10 years later, what is it, cable news?
It's not that much different, I don't think, from what it was. Meaning that back in the day, cable was about, I think we were just realizing what cable was going to become. And that is that the shows that were going to succeed the most on cable were going to be opinion shows. Fox recognized that very early on. It took CNN and MSNBC a little bit longer to recognize that. But it was in the mid-2000s, I think, that everyone else kind of came around. CNN probably was the last to the game.
To the opinion game.
Yeah, to recognizing that, that can really, it doesn't mean all you do is opinion, but it means you have to have that in your mix if you want to build up ratings. And why is that? People like to sort of mock opinion and say, oh, it's not journalism and this. Look, newspapers have had op-ed pages and editorial pages forever. And the notion that cable news channels shouldn't also have that, in fact, shouldn't have more of that, I think is a mistake, and I think it's an unfair criticism.
But the downside of that, devil's advocate, Dan, is that those who are looking for that, who have certain political opinions, clearly, you know where I'm going here, go to where they want to go to reinforce what they already believe, and stay away from stations that may have a different perspective with different opinions, and therefore, all it does is reinforce what they already believe, as opposed to, God forbid, don't confuse me with any other facts. Any concerns about that?
Well, sure, but those people who have these these sort of hardwired sense of what's right and wrong aren't going to be going to kind of middle-of-the-road stations anyway. I mean, look, the bottom line is life is on demand. Media is on demand these days.
True.
And so to suggest that, if my MSNBC would just offer a more balanced view of the world, my goodness, this could help us all as a society. It's a bunch of malarkey. The bottom line is conservatives are going to go to Fox, liberals are going to divide between CNN and MSNBC, and those in the middle are going to probably pop between the various networks.
But the really smart people are going to come to PBS.
And the really smart people are going to be watching One-on-One with Steve Adubato.
No, and the entire, how dare I plug?
Sorry, the entire programming schedule.
Here at PBS.
I didn't mean to just be suggesting.
Listen, come on,
Yeah, no, I'm on your show. It's,
okay. So, bigger picture. The other aspect of this is the digital side, because go back to the on-demand thing. You understand that piece of it as well. Do you see a period of time down the road where people literally watching old school on their televisions is somehow coming to an end anytime soon because people are looking for it in all other forms?
No, I think they'll still be watching on screens. A lot of it's going to be in mobile, but I think that people will still watch things on screens at home, but it won't be delivered in the way that we currently get it, meaning as much through broadcast networks, cable networks. It's going to be more on-demand choices, and that's going to include a whole new range of program. You know, one of my websites, Mediaite, covers...
Big, huge. By the way, tell everyone again, can we put up the site? Because I know I get a lot of great stuff from there as well.
Yeah, Mediaite. And, you know, look, the next phase of Mediaite will eventually be a video play, the way Law News has done that. And, you know, so will, I think, a lot of the other big web properties out there will create their own content. They'll have their own networks. And so suddenly people who might have gone to, you know, a cable network like, you know, CNN or MSNBC, they might say, oh, I want to go to a BuzzFeed's network. Instead, younger people in particular don't watch cable news. I mean, when you look at the average age of people who are watching cable news,
older and older.
it is old.
So younger people may go to BuzzFeed or Mediaite as their primary source.
Well, and they'll look for clips. They'll see the clips from cable news, but the notion that young people are, you know, I love it when people, you know, when cable news executives talk about, oh, you know, we really got to try and get a younger audience. Yeah, we want to get them to be 60. You know,
That's how.
as opposed to 70. I mean, you know, younger for cable right now is pursuing 50 to 60. You want to try to get 30 to 40?
happening.
It's not going to happen.
All right, real quick, big subject. Give me 2 minutes on this. The media in the age of Trump or Trump in the age of media. Take it whichever way you want.
Look, Donald Trump has declared war on the media, and his administration has done that. Now, I don't know exactly how that's going to manifest itself. So far, we've seen it in words. We've seen articles, stories they don't like being characterized as fake news or sort of broad insults. The New York Times, the failing New York Times, even though the New York Times is making more money now than they've made in a long time, thanks to Trump, et cetera. So, you know, up to this point, it feels like a lot of talk.
Even if some are banned with their questions in
You know,
a presser with...
I got to tell you, the White House, I know that, like, those of us in the media bubble get obsessed with the White House press conference.
Overblown?
I just think the big picture, of my concerns about this administration, who gets to ask questions at the White House daily press briefing is not anywhere near the top of them. My concerns are more big picture, which is, are they going to try to, you know, go after journalist sources in a lot of cases in a much more aggressive way than we've seen in the past? I think it's bad for the media that so many people now don't trust, obviously, trust them. They don't trust the media. And that's not Donald Trump's fault, by the way. I mean, he hasn't helped. But
we haven't helped ourselves.
We haven't helped ourselves. And look, and this goes back to your point earlier about the fractured media, because you got one side saying the other side's all, you know, full of it. You got the other side saying they're full of it. And then people who are watching each one are saying, yeah, throwing up their arms and saying, I don't know what to believe.
And of course, you know where to go to find the real news.
One-on-one with Steve Adubato?
No, just PBS.
Oh, all right, yeah.
By the way, check Dan Abrams, founder of Abrams Media, chief legal anchor over at ABC News. Also, Law News, right?
Yeah, with a Z.
With a Z. And Mediaite, great resource. Dan, I can't thank you enough. Appreciate
Good to be with you,
coming in.
Steve.
Good stuff. Stay right there.
Yeah.
We'll be right back, one-on-one from here in Lincoln Center.
To see more one-on-one with Steve Adubato programs, visit us online at steveadubato.org. If you would like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato PhD and follow us on Twitter at Steve Adubato.
We finally got her in the studio. She is Barbara Corcoran, author of Shark Tales and one of the stars on Shark Tank on ABC, Fridays at...
9 o'clock, 8 Central. Come on. Put that out there.
Put that out there. And by the way, and I also catch it on CNBC, the reruns,
Yep.
which are just as good.
You can't even tell the difference, right?
It's great stuff. How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
How long have you loved what you do in your professional life?
My whole life. I had never had a job I didn't like. I liked the waitressing, the hot dog salesman, the nurse's aide. I liked the whole shooting match. As long as I was working and I wasn't doing reading or writing, I was happy.
Where'd you come from? Where'd you grow up?
Edgewater, New Jersey, which is right across, as you know, the bridge, right? Shot from here, a few miles.
Growing up, were you encouraged to be as entrepreneurial as you clearly are?
No, we kind of got an early education, not on being entrepreneurial, but on holding your part of the bargain, doing the work at home. I had 9 sisters and brothers, so the 10 of us all had jobs. We all helped out with the family. Even when we went out to work, which we were all working very early in part-time jobs, I started working when I was 11, and that was pretty common among all my siblings. And so I don't think I was ever encouraged to be entrepreneurial in any way, but we were encouraged to be independent just by virtue of being 1 out of 10. You don't get a lot of attention from your parents when you're 1 out of 10, and you assume a role in a large family, which is like your own town. And so you kind of grow up a little bit earlier or a little bit more responsibly, I think.
Word is, Barbara, that you were a great student.
A great student?
I'm joking.
Well, good. We can let that rumor rip if we want. Yeah,
Were you a great student?
No, I, of course, was a horrific student.
You were horrific.
Well, I wasn't even a student. Let's put it that way. I showed up at school every day. I didn't learn to read or write till I was 11. I started reading by then, thank God. Now I can read anything, even a difficult book. I guess a slow learner, and I couldn't write. And for me, that was probably the best news and the worst news of my entire life. The worst news in that you learn shame in the classroom, and to be summed up based on something as narrow as reading and writing is such a disservice to a child. But the best news was I hated school. And the minute I got out, it was like breaking out of jail. I went into the real world with so much fervor and enthusiasm just because I didn't have to go to school anymore.
That's where you belonged, in the real world, outside
I
of school.
belonged on my feet, working with people. I mean, for what I didn't have in the classroom, I certainly made up for with my imagination. You know, I invented all the games in my neighborhood. I entertained my siblings. And my work ethic was, of course, direct from my parents, who worked like crazy. And, yeah. So it wound up being a very good thing. Yeah. You know, it really gave me motivation to work hard. Yeah.
We're going to show a clip in just a minute from Shark Tank, but your success in real estate.
Yeah.
All right, talk about the Corcoran Group.
Corcoran Group, yeah.
Yeah. What year?
I don't even remember what year it was, but I remember I was 23 when I started the firm, and I'm not going to tell you my birthday because I know you're just the type of guy in a suit that's going to do the math and figure out how old I am, which you could get online just by pressing a button, of course. And you can't lie about it.
I know that it was... You were very, even younger.
It was in the 70s,
yes.
Somewhere there, early 70s. I started the Corcoran Group, and that was fortuitous because it was a point in time when no one wanted to live in New York unless they had to. Corporations had employees living here. I remember as a young broker going to a real estate conference and people finding it unbelievable that I was in the real estate residential market in New York City. They didn't know people lived here. And then I rode the ride up, frankly, which certainly helped my business grow, because the city changed radically from the 70s to what it is now. It kind of went from middle-class working people in rental apartments to your now multi-million-dollar properties on the top of these skyrises right in our neighborhood right here.
When did Shark Tank come into your life? They approached you.
Well, this is our 9th season we're going into in June. We're filming. And that was 8 years ago. I was there from the very first season. They approached me because I was a real estate contributor on the Today Show a couple of mornings a week in the real estate bubble, Bad News Prince, so I got a job there. And they just approached me to ask if I'd have an interest in this new show called Shark Tank. I initially thought it was a fishing show. I can't stand fishing. I don't have the patience. But when I learned the nature of the show, I thought, yeah, I'd be pretty good at that. They wanted to make sure I had enough cash to invest. Weird kind of a TV show you pay to play versus you get paid to play.
And the premise is, give people the premise before we take a look at the clip.
The premise is so simple. Entrepreneurs come in with their dreams, young businesses, not mature businesses, and they pitch us for funding. And so we get a chance to question them on air. Our questioning usually lasts about an hour to an hour and a half. But when you see the actual episode edited at home, it winds up being a neat little 6 to 8 minute pitch. And then they either leave with the money they asked for or they leave without it.
No rehearsal, all raw, real.
No, it's all very real. It's called reality TV. Even when we've had on occasion entrepreneurs faint on stage through pressure, it seems terrible that they couldn't just get revived and come back on the set, but they're not allowed to. I'm always told it's reality TV. That's a practice. You can't do that.
Last night I was watching a rerun on CNBC of you and Mark Cuban going at it in a very respectful way, and you had a deal on the table with these 2 young women that were trying to do something, and he did. What did he do with you? Oh,
don't tell me he did the stupid 30-second clock from basketball days.
Yes, he did.
I hate that clock. It puts me under such pressure, and people always go with him. The minute he says, I'm going to give you 30 seconds on a clock to decide, I'm like, I lost the deal.
He did that. That's what he did.
It makes me panic, yeah.
And he always said, but I have such great respect for you, Barbara.
Yeah, what good is that? That's an insult as you go out the door. That's like I asked your sister on the date, but you're really a nice person. That's what that is.
It is very competitive.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
This book.
Yeah.
Question, because I'm a student of leadership, I'm a student of business. I'm always in the business of trying to have lessons being
Oh, I
offered
bet
out
you
there.
can teach more than you can listen.
Oh,
Would be my guess.
one thing I learned is get smarter people on the show than I am. Question. 3 lessons about succeeding in business for men, but particularly for women.
You're talking about businesses of your own? Or
Yes,
working?
entrepreneurial,
entrepreneurial
yes.
stuff, yeah. 3 lessons. I hate when people ask me the most thing, the 3 this. Okay, let me just
pick
tell you
one.
what comes to my mind. Number 1, focus on what you do well. So many people start a business and try to do everything from the get-go. I think you really have to know yourself, what your gifts are, and do a lot of it, and try to find some other sucker to do the stuff that you are not good at. That's the truth. That's what makes a great partnership or good delegation. Whereas most people hammer away at everything thinking you have to be good. No, I knew what I was good at building my business. I was great at marketing. I was great at recruiting people. And that's what I did almost from my 3rd year in business only. I focused on that. That would be 1. Focus on what you're really good at. Everybody's got a gift. You just have to figure out what your gift is and hammer away at it. That's what I think.
But you also diversified later on.
In which regard?
Television.
It's all the same. You know what television is? Or at least my role on Shark Tank? It's judging people and recruiting them if you like them. It's no different than what I did at the Corcoran Group. I recruited talent, kept them happy once they were in my stable so that they never ever want to leave, because that's expensive and counterproductive. And I do the same thing with Shark Tank and my entrepreneurs. I'm doing the same thing all over again, okay? And marketing, I'm good at that. I can help them with the marketing.
I interrupted you. Second
Okay.
skill.
Oh, second skill.
Tip.
I would say before you go into business, ask yourself how good you are at handling a kick in the gut and rejection, because that is the major card that divides the people that have succeeded very well on Shark Tank that I've invested in and the people who have fallen to the wayside. Some people might have better education, Harvard MBA. They really are intellectually much more capable than the other guy. But I always succeed with the guy that can take a kick in the gut and doesn't have the ability to feel sorry for themselves. It's the ability to feel sorry for yourselves that is the damnation of most people in business, I find. Yeah.
How about this one? I wrote a book on leadership
I'm
called
so
Lessons.
happy. Let me get away with 2, and I'm happy with it because I can't think of a 3rd, but go ahead.
I'm going to twist it up, girl. I got 30
right.
seconds left. I wrote a book called Lessons in Leadership, the greatest lesson in leadership you've learned. A little bit different.
A lesson in leadership. You can make people rise to the occasion. I learned this from Bernie Mendick, who I was trying to think of a solution to a tremendous financial problem he had as a developer. A great guy, honorable man. And when I couldn't think of the solution, he simply said to me, "You're a smart girl, you'll figure it out." And what do you think? I thought of a phenomenal solution, made $1 million in the depth of the Depression, took him out of his problem, took me out of my problem, and it was just his vote of confidence. I have gotten very acutely wrong English, acutely aware of pushing someone that people are smarter than they think they are.
Well said. Shark Tank can be seen Friday nights, 8 o'clock.
9 o'clock, 8 Central Time.
Well said. Barbara, thank you so much. You
My
honor
pleasure.
us. On ABC.
One on One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. This special edition of One on One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by Rowan University, Josh S. Weston, Virtua, Partners for Health Foundation, Prudential Financial's Global Communications Department, TD Bank, and by Verizon. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.
At Virtua, we don't cut the quad tendon for knee replacement, so you don't have to cut anything you love to do. It's what we don't cut that counts. The Virtua Joint Replacement Institute. Visit GotMyLifeBack.org today.